Good morning. My name is Manoj Kumar, Assistant Professor, Department of Computer Science and Engineering, Kumar Garg Engineering College, Ghaziabad. Today in this lecture, we will learn about the conditional statements and loop in Python programming. So, this is the table of content that we will discuss, we will learn in this video lecture. At first, we will see what is the conditional statement, and after that, what are different types of conditional statements that Python programming support. And after studying the conditional statements with example, we will learn about the loop, what is loop, what is the purpose of loop in Python, and what are different types of loop in Python with example. So, let's start with the introduction of conditional statement in Python programming. Okay. So, what is the conditional statement? Conditional statement is basically a decision making statement. As in our day-to-day life, we have take certain decision, and on the basis of our decision, we have to perform certain action to achieve the task. In the same way, in programming, we have certain conditions, and on the basis of those conditions, whether the condition is satisfied or condition is not satisfied, we have to perform certain task. We have to execute certain code. So, those conditional statements are also known as the decision making statement, which is performed on the basis of a condition in programming. So, decision making is an important in any programming language as it is in real life. Okay. So, the conditions are evaluated first, and after that condition is processed. If the condition is true, if the result of the condition is true, then we will execute some certain task, and if the result of condition is false, then we will execute some another task. Okay. So, all this happen just because of the condition testing. So, in case of programming language, either it is Python programming, it is C programming, we have to test certain conditions, and those conditions are work as a conditional statements supported by different types of conditional statement like if statement, if else statement, nested if statements. We will discuss in the next slide. Okay. So, different type of statements, conditional statements in Python programming are if statement, if else statement, nested if, and nested if else statements, if else if ladder, shorthand if statement, and shorthand if else statement. So, let's see with the if statement. So, if statement is the basic fundamental conditional statement in the Python programming or is any programming language. The general syntax, it has a code body that only execute if the condition in the statement is true, if condition can be single line or it may be a block of code. Okay. So, in case of if statement, at first we test the condition. If the condition is satisfied, then statement inside the if block will be executed. The general syntax in Python to define the if statement is this. This is the keyword. This is the if keyword. After that, we will write the expression, and if this expression basically represent the condition to be satisfied. If this condition and after that colon. So, if statement, after that we will write the condition, and after that we will mention the colon, and this is the statement inside the if block. Okay. So, if this condition or expression specified here is true, only then the statement inside the if block will be executed. For example, this is an example for the simple if statement. Here we have in this program we have declared a variable, or we have declared an object num, and the value is assigned 5. Okay. And here we are testing if num is greater than 0. This is the if keyword, this is the condition, this is the colon. If this condition is true, then this statement will be executed. Okay. If this condition is not true, then this is the outer this print statement is written outside the if statement, if block. So, this will only this will be printed. But if this condition is true, then this statement will also printed, and this statement will also execute. So, here as we see that value of num is 5. Okay. So, 5 is greater than 0. It means the condition is true. So, here we are simply printing the printing the value of this variable num. So, 5 is a positive number. This will be the output, and after that this statement will be printed. This statement is true. So, when we execute this program on Python interpreter, then this will be the output of the program. 5 is a positive number, and this statement is true. So, here this is the basic if statement as we use in Python programming. the next statement is if else statement. So the basic difference between the if statement and if else statement is that in case of if statement, we are only interested in the truth case of the condition. It means the statement will execute if the condition is only true. Truth. We are not interested what will happen if the condition is not true. But in case of if else statement, we want to execute certain code. Either the condition is true or condition is false. If the condition is true, we want to execute some statement 1, and if the condition is false, then we want to execute statement 2. Okay, either condition is true or false, some statement, some code should be executed. For that purpose, we use the if else statement in C programming or in Python programming. Okay, so this statement is used when both the true and false part of the given condition are specified to be executed. It means if the condition is true, then we have to also write some statement or some code that will execute on if the condition is true, and we have to also write some code or statement if the condition is false, so that that code can be executed. Okay, so the basic syntax to represent the if else statements or to define the if else statement in Python programming is that at first we will specify the if block. So for that purpose, we will use the if keyword, after that condition and colon. If this condition is satisfied, then state this region is the if block region. If this condition is satisfied, then the statement written over here that will execute. Okay, if this condition is not satisfied, then this is the else block. Okay, else keyword, after that colon, this is the else block, then the statement written inside the else block will be executed. Okay, let's see an example of if else statement. This is the basic example of if else statement. In this Python program, what we have done, we have declared a variable num, and value of num is 5, and we specify the condition if num is greater than equal to 0, then print positive or 0. If this condition is not satisfied, then it will print the negative number. Okay, let's see. Since num value of num is 5, it means 5 is a positive number. So this condition is true. So this statement will execute. This statement will not execute. Okay, so the statement inside the if block will be executed because the condition is satisfied. So the output of this program will be positive or 0. This message will be printed when we execute this particular program on the Python interpreter. So this is the example of if else is conditional statement in Python programming. Let's see the next conditional statement. Next conditional statement is if elif else statement. This is also known as the if else if ladder. Okay, in this when we have to check the multiple options, for that purpose we use this conditional statement. The syntax of this conditional statement is that at first if block, if keyword is used, then condition, after that colon, body of if, after that elif condition, body of elif, after that else block and body of else block. Okay, so if this condition will be satisfied, then the statement written over here will execute. If this condition here the we have tested the more than one condition. What happen in case of if statement or if else statement? We simple test one condition. Okay, but in case of in this scenario, we have to test the multiple conditions. This is the condition 1. Okay, if condition 1 is satisfied, then this statement will execute. This is the condition 2. If condition 2 is satisfied, then this statement will execute. There may be more than one condition. Again, suppose we have to test 3 or 4 conditions, then we can also define here, we will define here a new elif statement. After that, for condition 3, and again a new elif statement for condition 4, and for default conditions, we will use the else. Okay. So this is the basic example of if elif else statement in Python programming. Here we are declaring a variable num and assigning the value 7 to it. Okay, so first if condition is specified inside the if is num greater than 0. If num greater than 0, then this statement will execute positive number. Okay, if the condition if num is equal to, this is the condition 1, num greater than 0. Condition 2, num is equal to 0. If num is equal to 0, then it will print 0. Okay. If neither num is greater than 0 or neither num equal to 0, in that case, the statement defined inside the else block will be executed. Okay. So since here the value of num is 7, it means it is greater than 7. So this condition is true. So statement a positive number will execute and it will printed when we execute this program on Python interpreter. So this is the basic simple example of if, elif, else statement. There are some other examples as we have discussed in C. We have also learned in C programming, like the suppose we have percentage and criteria, and on the percentage criteria we are going to display some grade. Like suppose if the percentage is between 90 to 100, then grade A. If percentage is between 80 to 90, then percent grade B. If 70 to 80, then percent grade C. If 60 to 70, then grade D. So here we have to test certain multiple criterias, and on the basis of those criteria we are printing the grade of the student. So that program can also be implemented using this if, elif, else statement or elif ladder. Okay. So this is the third conditional statements and in Python programming. The next conditional statement is the nested if and nested if else statement. Okay. Nested if means if inside the if. In the same way, nested if else means if else inside the if else, or inside if else inside a particular if, or if else inside a particular else statement. So a nested if statement is one in which an if statement is nested inside another if statement. Okay. This is used when a variable must be processed more than once. If else and if elif else statement can be used in the program. It means we can nested inside these statement. If nested if statement, the indentation white space at the beginning to be determine the scope of each statement. Indentation basically is used to represent the statement of a particular block or scope of a particular conditional statement. Okay, this is the basic syntax of the nested if. Suppose this is the outer if. Okay, first if statement, or you can say that the outer if statement. Here we have specified the condition 1. Okay, so if this condition is true, then program control will go inside this particular if block, and again inside this if block there is a second if statement. Okay, here we have to test the condition 2. If this condition is true, then the statement written over inside the inner if block, that will be executed. Okay, here the second inner block, inner if statement will end, and here the first if statement will end. So what happening here? Here this if statement is nested inside this if statement. So this is the outer if statement. The scope of this statement begin over here and end here. Inside this if statement there is another if statement, and the scope of this statement begin here and end here. Okay, so this if statement is nested inside this if statement. Okay, in the same way we can use the nested if else. Suppose this condition is true, then instead of if we can use the if else statement according to the program applications. Okay. So this is the basic example of nested if statement. Here in this program we have declared a variable x and assigned a value 21 to x, and the first condition is x is equal to 21. It means here we are testing whether the value of x is equal to 21. If this condition is true, then another inside this if statement we are nesting the this statement. It means this is the outer if statement and this is the inner if statement. So inside the inner if statement we are testing x is greater than 20. If x is greater than 20, condition 2 is true, then print x, then the value of x will be printed. So what is happening here? Here, if the condition 1 is true, only then the program control will go to the inner if statement. If this condition is not true, then program control will not test the second condition. Okay, so as per the value of x, the first condition is true because x is equal to 21. This condition is true, value of x is 21. So the program control will go to the inner loop, inner if statement. Okay, or inside the inner if statement there is another condition, condition 2, and that is the x is greater than 20. Yes, value of x is 21, so x is greater than 20. So since condition 1 is also true and condition 2 is also true, so the statement written inside the inner if statement will be executed. So what is happening here? We are printing the value of x. So when we will execute this program on Python interpreter, then the value of x will be printed. This is the output of this program. Okay. This is the next conditional statement in Python programming language. This is the shorthand if statement. This is new. This if statement, if else statement, nested if else statement. Previous 4 conditional statements were also available in C programming language, but this is in new to the Python. Shorthand if statement is used when only one statement need to be executed inside the if block. This statement can be mentioned in the same line which hold the if statement. Okay, it means to write the multiple instead of writing multiple line, if you want to execute the if statement or want to write the code of if statement in a single line, for that purpose we use the shorthand if statement. And the syntax of shorthand if statement is this: first we use the if keyword, then condition, colon, and statement. It means if the condition is satisfied, then the statement will execute. So here in a single line we have mentioned the condition as well as the statement that will execute on the satisfaction of this condition. Okay, this is the basic example for the shorthand if statement in Python programming. This is the program. Here we are declaring a variable I and assigning a value 15 to this variable. Okay, and we are using the shorthand if statement here. If I is greater than 11, then print I is greater than 11. Okay, so since the value of I is 15, so I is greater than 11, it means this condition is satisfied and this statement will be executed. So when we will execute this Python program on Python interpreter, then the this statement will be printed: I is greater than 11. This will be the output. So shorthand if statement is basically used to write the code of if block in a single line. Next 6 conditional statement in Python programming is the shorthand if else statement. In the same way, if we want to write the if else whole if else statement or whole if else block in a single line, then we can use it using the shorthand if else statement in Python. Okay, so it is used to mention if else statement in one line in which there is only one statement to execute in both if and else block. In simple word, if you have only one statement to execute, one for if and one for else, you can put it all in same line. This is the basic example of shorthand if else statement. In this program, we are declaring two variables a and b, and the value of a is 3 and the value of b is 5. So at first we are writing the statement print a if a is greater than b, else print b. It means if a is greater than b, if this condition is satisfied, then statement a will be printed. If this condition is false, then b will be printed. Okay, so here what happened here, at first we are writing the statement that will be executed when the condition mentioned in front of b is satisfied. If condition is not satisfied, then after that we are writing the else keyword and statement that will execute if the when the condition is not satisfied. Okay, so here value of a is 3 and value of b is 5. So a is greater than b? No, a is not greater than b. So this condition is false. Since this condition is false, so the statement written after the else keyword will be executed. So statement after the else keyword is print b. So here the b will be printed. So when we execute this program on the Python interpreter, then this will be the output of this program. Next topic is loop in Python. What is the loop of purpose of loop in Python, and what are different types of loop that the Python programming support? Okay, so purpose of loop in Python is to repeat the same task, or you can say that the some number of statement more than one time. Okay, so when we execute some code or some code of statements more than one time, for that purpose we will use loop in programming, or when we want to execute a statement repeatedly manner. Okay, but how much time that particular statement or that particular block of code will execute, that depend on the conditions. It means in order to execute the loop, we have to mention some certain conditions. Okay, so this number of time could be specified to a certain numbers, or the numbers of time could be dictated by a certain condition being made. Until that condition will be satisfied, the statement written inside the loop will be executed. As soon as the condition become false, then program control comes out of the loop and write the next statement. Okay, so there are usually a number of different types of loop included in different programming language. In Python programming, basically two types of loop are there: for loop and while loop. So let's start with the for loop in Python programming. So in Python, the for loop can be used in two ways. At first, there are different data types in Python, like sequence data type, like tuple, list, set. Okay, so to dictionary. So to traverse the sequential data type or string, we use the for loop. Okay, so for loop is basically used to iterate over any sequence such as list, tuple, string. If we have to traverse the list, if we have to traverse the dictionary, if we have to traverse a string, if we have to traverse a tuple, for that purpose we can use the for loop. And the basic syntax of the for loop is, at first we have to mention the for keyword, then a value or a variable can be also used here in this, after that the sequence, and this is the statement. Okay, so when the condition is satisfied, what happen in case of here, so the for loop will traverse the sequence from starting from 0 index to the last index. For example, this is a program. Here what we are doing, here we are creating a list, car, and this list has 4 items. First is the Swift, Python, Go, and JavaScript. Okay, so if we have to traverse this sequence or this list, or we have to print the item contained by this list, for that purpose we will use the for loop. Okay, so according to the syntax of for loop, at first we use the for keyword, then variable I, in keyword, and this is the name of the sequence, car, colon, and print I. So what will happen here, this index of this item is 0, the index of this is 1, index of this is 2, index of this is 3. So initially the value, when the value of I is 0, then Swift will be printed. After that it will increase, value of I will increase. When the value of I will be 1, then Python will printed. When the value of I will 2, Go will printed, and value of I 3, then JavaScript is printed. Okay, so here all the item will be printed in the sequence from 0 index to the last index. So first use of for loop is to traverse a sequential data type in Python programming language. Like here we are traversing the list. In the same way, we can also use for loop to traverse a tuple, to traverse a dictionary, or we can also use to traverse a string. Next, the second use of for loop is with range function. We can also use the for loop range function. Range function has certain parameter. Let's see. In Python, range is a built-in function that is used when a user need to perform an action a specified number of time. The range function is used to generate a sequence of numbers depending of how many arguments the user is passing to the function. It means how many time a particular statement will execute, statement inside the for loop will execute. That will depends on the parameter we pass inside the range function. We will see it with an example. So this is the range function, general syntax of range function. There are 3 parameters. First parameter is start, second parameter is stop, and third parameter is step. Start parameter is optional. It means here it basically represents, it is an integer value, integer number, which is specified at which position we have to start. It means from where we have to start to execute the for loop. So that value is passed here. Okay. Second is the stop. It is required. It is the an integer number which is specified at which position to stop. Okay, and it is not included that particular for example, suppose if I want to print from 1 2 3 4 5. Okay, so inside range function, if I will pass 5, then it will print only 1 2 3 4. 5 will be not 5 will not be printed. It means the value that I will mention inside the range function as a stop parameter, then one less, it means up to the previous of this value the statement will execute. So if I am passing here the value 5, then 1 2 3 4 will be printed. If I have to print 1 2 3 4 5, then I need to change it with 6. Okay, so in case of 6, this will be 1 2 3 will be 5 will be printed. Okay, so for this purpose, if I write here 6, then it will print from here. So this is the start. As case of this is the range function, I can use another range function here. Range 1 and stop value is 5. So what happened in this case? Here I am passing two parameter 1 and 5. Then it will print 1 2 3 and 4. Okay. Second case, again step basically step represent the increment. Either you want to increase by 1, increase by 2. Let's discuss with an example. Okay, suppose I pass here by default it will increase by 1. Okay, suppose I am passing here 2, then in this case what will happen? The value of start is 1, so it will start from 1, and the value of stop is 5. Okay, and the step basically represent the increment. This is 2, so now it will print 1, increase by 2, 3, and after that, since this is the 5, so it will only print 1 3. If I write here pass here 6, then it will print 1 3 and 5. Okay, so this is the basic example. Example 1. Here I am using the range function, and the value passed inside the range function is 6. By default it is the value of stop parameter, so it will print the numbers from 0 to 5. Okay. Next, this is the second example of range function. This is the first parameter 3 and start parameter, and this is the stop parameter. So it will print from 3 to 5. Next, here I am using 3 parameter start, stop and step. So it will print from 3 to 1 less 20, it means 19, and increase the value by 3. At first 3 will print, then 5 7 9. In this way this will printed. Second state loop is the while loop in Python programming. In case of while loop, the basic syntax, while loop is again is an alternative of the for loop. It is also used to execute a statement more than one time. In case of while loop, the basic syntax is that while keyword, expression, this is the condition, and statement written inside the while loop. So when the condition is become false, then program control comes the out of loop. Until this condition becomes satisfied, only then this statement will be executed. This is the basic example of the while loop. Here count is a variable and the value of count is 0. While count is less than 3, then count is equal to count plus 1 and print CSC 3. So initially the count is 0, so it is satisfied, and at first time CSC 3 will be printed. Again second time the count of value of count is 3, 0 plus 1, sorry, count of value of count will be 1. Again 1 is less than 3, again CSC 3 will be printed. Again value of count will increase by 1, so value of count is 2. Okay, so count is less than 3, this statement will printed again. Again the value of count will increase by 1, so 2 plus 1, 3. Now this condition becomes false, so program control comes out of the while loop and this statement will not execute. Okay, thank you.